The New York Landmarks Conservancy is on the front lines, working to preserve the city we love. Our work helps keep New York, New York. We've saved 19th century blocks in Lower Manhattan, distinguished Midtown buildings, the beautiful public rooms of the Plaza. We even saved the Picasso curtain. After 9/11, we helped save the survivor's staircase at Ground Zero. It's now featured in the 9/11 Museum. After Superstorm Sandy, our emergency grants helped more than a dozen nonprofits recover from the storm. Our loan and grant programs have contributed to more than $1 billion in total restoration work. The Conservancy's Sacred Sites program provides grants and technical help to landmark religious institutions throughout the state. A recent grant is helping the Stuyvesant Heights Christian Church in Brooklyn restore a large stained glass window.
Sacred Site came in, they evaluated, they assessed, they encouraged fundraising with us, and we did that. And because of their faith and belief in us, we have gotten to this place.
The church runs a number of community programs, including a lively daycare center and after-school activities. Reverend Codman Walker believes that restoring the church is also helping the community.
The preacher can preach, but once the edifice is erected in such a beautiful manner, it feels as if there's a place of belonging, a place of beauty, and a place of hope. It offers hope.
Our low-interest loans have helped homeowners throughout the city. A recent loan helped the owners of this Fort Greene co-op restore the exterior of their brownstone.
Working with the Landmarks Conservancy, we were able to put in all of the original detail, all the beautiful sculpted work on the front of the building, above the windows, above the door. The cornice was completely redone, and it looks absolutely spectacular, back what it used to be.
The Conservancy staff also helped find the architects and contractors for the job and helped obtain city approvals.
We were all amateurs looking to do a major renovation project, and Landmarks Conservancy really held our hand and helped us through the entire process.
New York will always grow and change, but we are working to ensure that New Yorkers have a say in how their communities evolve. New growth should never erase the iconic buildings and historic neighborhoods that provide a distinctive and welcoming home for us all. Living landmarks help preserve New York in their own distinguished ways. We're proud to present the 2019 Honorees.
The best thing about New York is the pulse of the life here and how exhilarating it is.
New York's cultural institutions help create that exhilaration. The Metropolitan Museum tops the list. Emily Rafferty kept a 40-year career there as its president.
It is among the greatest cultural institutions in the world, with over 2,000 employees. And there wasn't a second on any day that I wasn't worried about all of it.
The Metropolitan Museum is one of the city's most prominent landmarks and subject to the city's Landmarks Commission. But Emily says dealing with the commission wasn't difficult.
It was more the process of working with lots of interested parties around the Metropolitan Museum of Art, where if anything touches, it's inside or outside. We hear about it.
Emily respects that people care about important landmarks like the museum and want to preserve the best of New York.
I think it's one of the greatest qualities the city has, our neighborhoods and their landmarks, both big and small.
Emily had to respect the neighborhood when the museum proposed changes. She believes developers throughout the city should do the same.
I think there is room to build if it's done well, if it's respectful of communities.
Emily was hailed as a successful and beloved leader at the museum. She also served on the board of the 9/11 Memorial Museum, chaired the board of the New York Federal Reserve, and led New York City and Company, the city's tourism arm. She knows how to sell New York.
Come to the greatest city in the world. You'll never experience anything like it anywhere else. You can choose from hundreds of things to do at any given moment, along with the great neighborhoods to explore. It's just a vibrant and exciting place to come.
We call it New York Life today, but it's really the New York life insurance company. We started down on Wall Street in 1845. So we're an intricate part of the city as it's, unfolded over these last almost 175 years.
As board chair and CEO of New York Life, Ted Mathis is professionally and personally entwined with New York. The company headquarters on Madison Square was designed by architect Cass Gilbert in 1926. It's a local and national historic landmark.
We built on a spot that was this original spot of actually Madison Square Garden, a hollowed spot already as it was. We built this structure that now is a permanent part of the city and the society in which we live. And there's no question that it was built with these grand ambitions about the business being one that carries on for generations. That's why they called it the Cathedral of Insurance.
The company is the largest mutual life insurer in the country, but New York Life also has a foundation that supports a variety of programs. It recently gave a grant to restore the public library's famous lions, Patience and Fortitude. It also supports volunteer opportunities for company employees.
People are here for a greater sense of purpose. They want to be part of something bigger than themselves. They want to feel that they're contributing to something that is a societal good.
Mathis feels a responsibility to give back personally and serves on the board of the Museum of Natural History.
I've had the opportunity in my career to develop insights and expertise. Applying that in another context to another great New York institution is a responsibility, really.
Mathis believes in having an impact for good. He thinks that one way to achieve that is through preservation.
But when you look at great pieces, works of art that are architecture, to be able to preserve and protect that and nourish it, and of course it's going to adapt and change, that to me is a phenomenal way to have impact.
The best thing about New York for me is all the interesting people to meet and talk to, and all the interesting things to do.
Carol Bailey French is interesting to talk to. She's worked at the Council on Foreign Relations, advised the White House on telecommunications policy, ran a federal commission on privacy protection, and was a fellow at Harvard's Institute of Politics. After years in Washington, Connecticut, and Bermuda, she settled in New York and found her current calling. She heads the St. Bartholomew's Conservancy, preserving the exterior of one of the most beautiful buildings in the city.
Our job is to restore and preserve a National Historic Landmark for the benefit of all New Yorkers and everybody else who passes by.
The St. Bartholomew's Conservancy is an independent nonprofit. Under Bailey French's leadership, the Conservancy completed a multi-million-dollar restoration of the church's elaborate dome. She raises money by being clear about the mission.
In talking to donors, one of the things that we emphasize is that we are wholly independent of the church. We have no involvement with the religious mission of St. Bartholomew's Church.
While Bailey French is devoted to a particular landmark, she thinks all landmarks contribute to the city.
Great buildings and historic districts should be looked at as milestones along the path of our shared societal development.
Bailey French is involved in the Metropolitan Opera Guild and various clubs, but her work at the Conservancy is special.
The St. Bartholomew's involvement for me is a personal thank you for, at long last, feeling welcome in this great city. It just gives me great joy.
The best thing about New York is the people. They're terrific.
Carl McCall has met a lot of New Yorkers in almost 50 years of public service. He won their votes in races for the state Senate and state comptroller. And he served them in appointed positions, including as a UN ambassador, state human rights commissioner, and chair of the State University System's Board of Trustees. But McCall began his career as an ordained minister. How did he wind up in government and politics?
I saw my ministry through government and through agencies and institutions that could have the greatest impact on improving the lives of people and providing opportunity for people.
McCall went through his undergraduate and graduate studies on scholarships and has been particularly committed to providing educational opportunities for others. McCall is proud of the expanded scholarship programs the State University System offers, and he's initiating special scholarships of his own.
That's why right now I'm raising money in my retirement to provide additional scholarship assistance to students who want to go to SUNY schools, because I know it's transformative.
McCall's office as SUNY board chair was in a landmark former townhouse. He appreciated the provenance.
But it just shows how these buildings have multiple lives. One time it was a home, now it's an office building. We continue to use it.
McCall represented Harlem in the state Senate. He remains proud of that area's history, culture, and architecture. He knows what a historic Harlem church means to residents.
Well, it gives a sense of permanence to them, a sense of history to them. People go to a church and remember that church started 100 years ago, and they hear the stories of how people struggled and worked together and saved their money to build them. It gives them a sense of participation in history and a sense of those buildings made a contribution to the fabric of that community.
McCall believes that being a living landmark offers a sense of permanence as well.
Well, I'm really very honored to be thought of as a landmark, a living one.
You know, as I say about my own work, dance isn't for everybody, it's for anybody. People at least have to serve some time in New York. A lot of the arts and a lot of business has spread out. It's been broadcast all over the world. You have to at least sign in here at some point if you're really serious about what you do.
Mark Morris is serious about dance, music, and community engagement. He's been serving New York for some 40 years. Morris has been hailed as the most successful and influential choreographer alive. He's earned an array of honors and loyal fans. He formed the Mark Morris Dance Group in 1980 and has created more than 150 works for the company, always danced to live music.
Like all art, you do it because it's something to do that you're completely smitten with, and it becomes your whole basis for your life.
The Mark Morris Dance Center opened in Brooklyn in 2001, an early anchor to the thriving cultural district that now exists there. It holds rehearsal space for his dancers, dance classes for students of all ages and abilities, including the visually impaired and people with Parkinson's.
As soon as we moved here, we spread out and met our neighbors, and they started coming here. So it's a growing community of communities.
The area was in transition when the dance center opened. A slew of new towers has changed that.
Downtown Brooklyn is unrecognizable. I go on tour for a month, I come back, and there's like 11 more stories on 7 buildings. It's like, what? So it doesn't always feel like it's going up. Sometimes it feels like we're going down. You know, I'm comfortable here, and I do feel like an old timer in a rocking chair on the front porch.
Morris also likes the idea of becoming a living landmark.
Well, I'm stable, I'm well built, and I've been around for a while. So I feel perfectly happy to have earned that.
Every time you walk out the door, something interesting is happening. It may be good, it may be bad, but it's going to be interesting.
Barbara and Donald Tober are out in New York a lot. They support a number of cultural institutions and share a love of sampling what the city offers. A Brooklyn native, Donald loves exploring in every borough.
So I will find some place on a map, which I've never been to, like Whitestone or Staten Island. It's always Staten Island, by the way.
A Harvard-trained lawyer, Donald owns Sugar Foods, a company founded by his father. Barbara chaired the Museum of Art and Design for several years and helped cement its place in the city's cultural life.
We're moving forward in a wonderful way, and I'm very, very proud. I'm not chairman anymore. I was chairman for 15 years. I'm international chair now, and we're cultivating many, many countries to work with.
Barbara also had a successful career as longtime editor of Brides magazine, putting that publication on the map.
We had fun, we did something really important, and marriage was back.
More or less.
The reenactment was back. Well, you and I got married.
Several times, not to each other. It's a little complicated, we'll talk about it later.
Donald's explorations have given him a great appreciation of New York's architecture and the need to preserve worthy buildings and neighborhoods.
We have to have something left in the past, always keep the best that we can to save the past and give you perspective. It's an absolutely magnificent job that New York Landmark Conservancy does.
Barbara enjoys seeing the new uses that can prosper in older buildings.
It's a very, very exciting thing to take what is old, dilapidated, and repurpose it for today.
The couple enjoy each other as much as they enjoy the city and maintain a zest for living.
We just have fun exploring.
And we love it, and we'll continue to do that for perhaps another 30 years.